Alright guys, that's coming again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Black Ops 7 is not now far away. Dashy talks about exactly what's happened with Mercules into their team at the end of last season and why many are thinking that going into the next year, given the chemistry of that roster, things could maybe get even better. Some roster updates elsewhere as well, especially in challenges, what Illy might be up to, especially with all this talk about the OpTic Nation team maybe returning next year. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. There was a Halo 3 tournament that went down last night. Shotzzy was playing in it, $2,500 Halo 3 Invitational. There's more coming up today with the Modern Warfare 3 throwback, which is why these clips we're going to talk about in a second with Dashy are on Modern Warfare 3, getting some preparation in for the new game. But it was pretty cool to see this last night. The eventual champions was actually OpTic Maniac and Co. So they took the victory in the end. Tylenol, Maniac, Ace, and Lethal, they got the win. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the Halo guys in the coming minutes here, because that's certainly relevant to this challenges discussion. As we see with Scrap, they were getting some chals in. Modern Warfare 3 chal, Huke, HyDra, Dashy. Not 100% sure what all the rosters are going to be for this yet. We saw Ghosty tweet out and Methods tweet out to say, look, we still need a few more players to round out this tournament, so I'm not sure all of the teams are necessarily going to be turning up with their full rosters, but that we think is happening tonight and tomorrow to have a little $10,000 throwback right before Black Ops 7 arrives. Now, speaking of BO7, this is an update that I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about. So you might think, what are you on about? This is just the basketball hoop back in Raid as we've known and loved for many years. So if you guys have never played Raid or played it in Black Ops 2 especially, this is the basketball court part of the map. This is where the fourth hardpoint is. The first one is over at the ringside. The second one goes back to kitchen. The third is in the garage. And then it comes back to basketball court. And famously, there's these basketballs. And if you shoot at the bottom of them and you get it right, you can hoop it, right? Now, this has always been a thing since Black Ops 2. The reason why I wanted to talk about this, and I don't take credit for noticing this, but a couple of people did notice that clearly the map has been redesigned. It's still Raids, but there's very much a different theme on the map now. It's got this Japanese theme. But what you'll notice is, so this is the original version in Black Ops 2 set, I think, in California. You can see exactly the same things going on here. But this wall, right? So first of all, this looks like it's thinner somehow. I don't know if it's just the perspective. It's probably not, to be fair, but I felt like the basketball court used to be deeper. And I don't know, like to me, this picture here, I mean, you can see on the left-hand side how far to the left the court goes. I don't know if they've made it smaller. It kind of looks like they have in terms of the width of the courts, but that may just be perspective. The thing I really wanted to talk about, though, is this wall in the background, because aBeZy made this point that many of the walls in this upcoming game may be ripe for abuse. We know that wall bouncing is a phenomenon, and you can wall bounce on many walls and then double bounce from that. So just to give you guys a quick example, we can see here, for example, with Shotzzy, that, you know, with this wall, he's hit a nice little bounce and he gets this kill, and he does the same thing right about here. Now, this probably isn't the best example, but you can see the wall bouncing in action. The point that many are making is, let's say in a situation like this, this wall that he's bouncing on is just a wall and you can't go round it, but you can see over it. You can use the wall bouncing to peek over the wall, right? Obviously, here he uses it to take a gunfight, but aBeZy was making the point that all of these walls, and especially because you can actually do the wall bounce forward, I don't even think you have to jump on the wall sideways. We saw Zinni got killed in the beta. Someone accidentally wall bounced backwards and flew up into the sky. So that's what you can do. And walls that are designed like this, let's say you're holding the point, you could have a guy constantly bouncing on that wall and getting information, right? Free information. You could probably do it anyway. You could do it on the side of this little hut here and just spot people. They've got no chance of killing you in time, but it's like a free info. And I think we are going to see this. Like, this is going to be a feature of the new game. But Traixx may make decisions to try and stop that. So the thing that people have noticed really is that this wall on the right, which is the same one as the previous one, they've moved like these chairs. I mean, you can see there's been some like redesigning here going on. But they've got this like slate roof thing, and I'm not saying it's going to be impossible, but it looks like there's a bit of an overhang there, right? So it's possible that if you try and wall bounce on this wall to get info over into the pool side, then you're going to hit your head on this roof and it's not going to be possible. But then again, could you you know, could you do a similar thing next to the basketball like hoop? Could you just jump on this wall and then look to the right and get a view? Maybe. I'm not sure if that's their intention, but it's something to think about, because it is, I think, going to change the way that some of these maps play, that the players are going to be using the wall bounce for information, not something that was possible in Black Ops 2, and certainly not in Cold War either. Let's talk about rosters. This is the European Challenger side. We thought the Whalers was coming back. That was now confirmed yesterday, so Whalers is back playing Challengers again, which is, yeah, remarkable blast from the past. But in North America, this is what their rosters apparently look like. So we saw the other day, Spark, Proluke, Cap, and TJ. They're playing for Team Bush, so looking forward to that team in action. Geo, Wake, Uli, and ReeaL. That's certainly a team, right? So Geo and Awakening. Geo thought he was getting a spot, we think. He thought he was going to go to the Ravens. They, we believe, have gone for Nero instead. It is also worth saying that like half of the teams in the league have not yet confirmed their roster, which is a little confusing because we're pretty sure what they're going to be. And of course, we can also put 2 and 2 together based on the players that are in challenges and aren't in the Pro League. For example, Wake is playing challenges, so he ain't on Boston anymore, although they've not confirmed that Nastie's going to be in for him. You know, that will happen at some point. So that's a couple of notable teams. Rex, Fire, Exceed, and Darkside. Gunless is teaming with Neum, Dak, and Rapsy, we think. Then we've got an interesting team. Priester, Illy, Gunsey, and Asim. This is notable for a couple of reasons. Firstly, some notable players that we have heard of and seen around the league for a very long time. How's that going to go? Of course, Priest is looking for his revenge arc. The same for Illy and Asim, really, after difficult stints last time around in the league. But the Illy question is quite interesting based on what we thought, or maybe continue to think, about some of the Halo players. So you'll notice here that on this list there are none of the notable Halo names. Legend is going straight to the Pro League. But what about, you know, Renegade? Is Renegade coming over? What about Bound? What about Collect? What about some of those other guys? Are they making the move or are they not? Some of them, it seems, are going to be, and I think there will still be a lot of transition over. It may just take a little bit more time for them to figure out what rosters they fully want to form exactly. But it is nonetheless interesting because Legend made it clear back in like July or something that he was going to come to Black Ops 7, and because of that, he's got picked up straight to the league. Renegade, if he does come over, is an unbelievable talent. He also should be right in that kind of conversation. There's some other notable names coming over as well. Now, to be fair, it's not like you have to. There are notable names such as the FaZe guys like Lucid, or people like Snakebite and Royal 2 and Frosty that aren't making the transition because there is still some Halo tournaments next year. We think that DreamHack Birmingham might have a Halo event there. Maybe the same will be true in Atlanta. There's going to be a couple of tournaments to play, so there's still something to play for. There's just not an official HCS calendar. It makes sense why a lot of players will want to switch over. But it seems like that's taken a little bit of a step back for now, because we thought that Illy might end up captaining an OpTic Nation team. Hex sat down with Illy a little while ago and said, hey, Inda, do you want to captain a team with presumably Renegade Bound +1 or something, and try and help those guys learn COD? Clearly, at least on initial perceptions, that ain't happening for now. So I don't think that those guys aren't going to come over. I think that they probably are, but I'm a little bit intrigued as to what they're going to do, because, you know, I do wonder whether some of these players would benefit from taking a bit of a risk on some of those Halo guys coming over, but we know that some of the Challengers players will be not so willing to do that. So Johnny and Stanley looking for 2, Arcetes, Paul X, possibly with King of Body in their lineup, which is kind of interesting. Then Roxas is playing with, I forget how even I'm going to pronounce that, but one of the Saudi guys anyway. So, yeah, we'll move on from that. Quick comment on Renegade and Bound here. Potentially something in the works, but not definitive right now or concrete enough to tweet. So, looks like they are going to do something, but not yet confirmed enough. Brack, Fellow, Eric, Boom also look like a team of 3. So, they're looking for a 4th right now. So, those are the updates as we understand them. But Dashy, he hopped on Modern Warfare 3 to get ready for this upcoming tournament. And, of course, Dashy's also been paying a close attention to League of Legends, the World Championship Grand Final with Faker and all this type of stuff, and the teaser that they always drop before it. And I think Dashy even did another tweet actually that said something like, yeah, whoever makes these League of Legends teasers for Worlds absolutely need to raise. But he was talking about a few things. So he hopped on COD, turned the stream on, and had a quick talk about a couple of items. One of which was this. He was playing a bit of Scrapyard, and he was he had a Mandela effect moment about this fuselage piece in the sky. So he was like, I don't remember that ever being there. It's like this, you know, the Mandela effect thing where you remember things differently to what they actually are, or think that things have changed. You guys might remember it with the trees on Ardennes Forest way back in World War II. I'm pretty sure this has always been here. I feel like I remember it always being there. But I don't know. Dashy had a bit of a moment about that. But he also talks about Merc and kind of why it worked so well with him at the end of last season. He doesn't think that they were that bad with Skies. And maybe the numbers indicate that they had a little bit of a positive trajectory. Let's not forget they 3-0'd that Surge team with Skies and then immediately dropped him. But there's clearly a reason why Mercules was the guy.
And I feel you, bro. Could always come back, bro. Could always come back. Wait, there was a plane there? Hold up. Yo, am I tripping? That was never there. Was that always there? Yo, I don't think this was ever there. Yo, what is this called again? Fucking, fuck. Mandela effect? Or is it Mandela effect? Bro, I swear they did this shit in like other gods, bro. I'm pretty sure this plane wasn't there, bro. Yeah, that process. I'm telling you, bro. Roger was showing us fucking those snippets of it. It was so good, dude. And towards the end of it, I'm like, bro, this almost looks scripted, bro. Was the difference having Mesa and everything clicked going into the champs? I don't know. I mean, I didn't think we were that far off even before we got Mace. We were just losing some like insane series. And obviously Mason, like, I mean, he was also all fucking unkillable. But I think the way we played as a team, it just complemented each other. Like, we didn't ever have to like discuss about fucking, like with Mace, like, yo, you should pull out a sub here, you should use an AR here. Like, he kind of just fit in with like the playstyle of the team. And then even like our natural tendencies, like it's...
So this was the series here on the 9th of May. That was their first series with Mercules. 6 days earlier, they'd 3-0'd Surge with Skies in the lineup, right? And then they made the decision. So it was very interesting at the time because Surge were looking pretty good. Surge were considered the heavy favourites for this series, you can see at the time. And then OpTic ended up taking a pretty dominant victory in the end anyway. So all of their recent series, these are the ones, of course, with Skies in the lineup. And look, is Dashy right to say that we were losing in some pretty insane ways? Look, they lost to Falcons in the qualifiers in Major 3, and I know they made them changes, but it can't get too much worse than that. They turned up to the Major, got 3-0'd by Boston there, so, I mean, look, they weren't great with Skies. Were they getting better with Skies? I think, yeah. Would they have been respectable towards the end of the year, maybe top 4? I think quite possibly, yeah. But would they have been as good as they were with Mercules? Clearly not. And I think that's the optimistic thing for OpTic. It's like, okay, Merc joined in May, which isn't really that long ago in the grand scheme of things, especially given the Champs was only a few weeks after and the World Cup just a couple of weeks further on than that. But Merc came in and immediately fit the bill, right? In terms of chemistry, in terms of what he wanted to do, what the team wanted him to do, everything was pretty much nailed on immediately. They didn't have to work to overcome any friction in the team. And that's what Kenny has made the point about before, that you kind of know very quickly as a team whether things are going to work or not. Like, you get a feeling very early doors as to like, okay, is this going to be a team that could be successful or not? Clearly, OpTic had that feeling with Mercules coming in, and that's the other piece about Mercules, is that you look at a guy like HyDra, you look at any number of rookies, it's very rare, maybe with the occasion of, like, or the exception of Simp, really. I mean, Black Ops 4 was still arguably Simp's best season, but Cold War 2 years after was probably equally good in some respects. The point is that it's pretty rare that rookies are the best they're ever going to be in their first year. Usually they get better. HyDra's a good example. Many other good examples over the last few years as well. So Merc can probably keep getting better. There's also a good reason as a result that they kept that team together. It is interesting to think in hindsight, even after the World Championship, there was talk about, oh, could Huke be at risk of Simp and all this? Wonder if the OpTic guys would ever address whether they would ever have considered doing that in the circumstances, but intriguing your thoughts in the comments below. Just one final thing, I know that many of you guys will have watched it already, but our season documentary officially dropped last night. We had a great time watching the premieres, like 1,000 of you guys in there watching it at the same time. Super gives it the seal of approval as well. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to do so over at the BP channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.